What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beyond the Bench podcast. Today we're doing our Week 5 recap, and we have Matt here today as our guest.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Nick. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here, Kuda.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're doing the same thing as we do every week. Waiver wire, buy low, sell high. But first, I want to talk about breaking news this morning. It came out about, 15 minutes ago? Robert Saleh was fired by the Jets. And I feel like it was bound to happen eventually, pretty soon.
So I think that they're just pinning the blame on him. Christian, what was the overall record that he had?
20-36.
Okay,
Wow.
20-36 when he had Zach Wilson as his quarterback for 3 years. So I don't know.
I also feel like this is Rodgers turning into GM mode and saying that he wants Saleh out. And I was telling Nick before, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow morning I get a Schefter bomb on my phone that Devontae Adams is a Jet. I wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like this is kind of just the precursor to that. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Jets are going to get better, though, because I feel like Robert Saleh did have – who was calling the offensive calls? Was it Hackett or Saleh?
Hackett.
Okay.
I think it was Hackett.
I don't think the team is going to change at all. Because if Saleh wasn't calling those offensive plays, Saleh is still the one that's going to try to run the ball on 3rd and 15.
I also think that Hackett is just not a good coach. I don't think genuinely thought that they were going to make him head coach.
It's like the same thing. No, Hackett, like he literally just goes it's like run, pass, run, pass. It's like the same thing, like over and over again. So they keep going 3 and out all the time.
Yeah. So I don't think the Jets are going to get any better. I don't think that's going to solve any problems. I think they have to figure out a way to get the ball down the field because their red zone percentage this year, like getting into the red zone, has been they're one of the lowest scoring teams in football. They're still scoring like they still have Zach Wilson at quarterback when you have a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. That cannot happen.
I think Devontae Adams changes it a little bit.
If they get him.
If he goes there.
But then that's another thing. If Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, fantasy terms, I will say sell Garrett Wilson on the highest that you can right now. Try to get decent value for him.
I also feel that, I don't know, personally I feel like even if Devontae Adams goes to the Jets, it could be better. I was telling Nick before, it could be almost like a Antonio Brown and that Juju Smith-Schuster scenario where it's like, maybe that opens up separation for Wilson to create more value for him. And maybe, like, let's say if Devontae is getting double covered, then Wilson will be, like, open more. And I don't know.
I think it will end like that, but then that'll also end, like, Devontae Adams will have, like, a 30-point game, and then Garrett Wilson's going to have, like, a 5-point game. So it's going to vary per week. But I still think both of them are going to hold little value, but I don't think Garrett Wilson's going to hold, the top, 10 round pick that he was this year if Devontae Adams goes. That's my reasoning why I'm saying sell him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I feel like there's a lot of good waiver wire this week.
Well, because there's been a lot of buys and injuries. Buys are finally starting.
Yeah, and it also depends on who's taken in your league. Because a lot of my guys I have on this waiver wire thing are taken in our leagues.
Same.
But in most leagues, they aren't.
So let me start off. My first, I actually have a decent amount of guys. So my highest one right now is Juju. He had 20 points, 8 receptions for 130 yards. He went off. I don't know how Travis Kelce did last night.
Kelce did pretty good too. I think he might have had 16. I want to say 16. Maybe like 7 catches, 90 yards.
I think he had 7 receptions at half. Or something like that.
Okay. So Mahomes is obviously looking for the ball because that offense is blown up by injuries. So I would try to get Juju. Jalen Tolbert on the Cowboys, I think he's another good option. I think if Dak threw to Tolbert and had trusted him for a game-winning touchdown, that shows something that there can be promise in his value going up.
Especially with Brandon Cooks injured. He's the wide receiver too at this point.
How long is he going to be on IR?
Well, IR is at least 4 weeks. I think this week.
Right, but sometimes they can hold him. It depends on the injury.
It says that he'll miss at least 4 games.
Okay, so I think Jalen Tolbert is definitely a short to medium-term pickup right now.
Mm-hmm.
My last two are Tank Bigsby and
with the Nico Collins injury.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Josh Downs.
I love Josh Downs this week. Last week
was really good
with Flacco. He had 22 and
only
then
with
16
Flacco though.
this
I
past
feel
week.
like Anthony Richardson. I was telling Christian this in an earlier podcast. If Anthony Richardson is playing, every single wide receiver depreciates in value. Every single one.
So
because Joe Flacco knows how to spread the ball around.
Yeah, I would say take advantage of it now before Richardson comes back because he's bound to come back soon. But he'll also probably just get injured again. So
yeah,
he's made of glass.
Yeah,
he's the quarterback version of J.K. Dobbins.
I also have Alec Pierce on here. Just another close wide receiver. It's just like I said, take advantage of it while Richardson's out because they're going to keep scoring.
Did they say specifically how long Jonathan Taylor was going to be out for?
Or was it actually
week to week?
Okay, because I picked up Trey Sermon in one of my other leagues, but
so did I.
Yeah. Mm.
They said high ankle sprains usually 3 to 4 weeks, but his wasn't as bad. So they said it could be 1 or 2.
We'll see.
If you want to try to take advantage of the Devontae Adams rumors, I would definitely try to pick up Trey Tucker or trade for Jacoby Myers, but that is for another segment.
Yes.
I also have one other person on here or two that we didn't really talk about. I have Rico Dowdle on here.
I don't think Rico Dowdle is on waivers anymore.
He's
actually in my
leagues he's rostered.
Yeah, in my family league, I picked him up last week, and
that's crazy.
I'm going to throw him out this week at flex because I have a few guys on bye, but I'm pretty confident in Rico Dowdle this past week.
Start.
I drafted him.
Did you drop him though?
No, I drafted Chase Brown and I dropped Chase Brown.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I also have Daniel Jones on here. If you need a quarterback, Daniel Jones is a good option. Kirk Cousins is available in a bunch of leagues.
I would definitely pick up Kirko.
Sam Darnold is still available in our league.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are
I also like from the tight end position, I'm very high on him, Tucker Kraft. I know he may be a little bit, he may be slightly touchdown dependent, but I'm still like, compared to other tight ends in the league, I'm pretty high on him.
I can definitely agree. I think if Jordan Love's playing, he's
one of the best tight ends I'm starting.
He has 3 touchdowns past 2 weeks, so he's been very good.
Yeah.
Kudo, do you have any waiver wire?
Yeah, let me see. I mentioned Tucker Kraft. Let me see. I also, I guess, keep in mind the Devontae situation. We'll play it by ear, but I also do like Jacoby Myers, though, if he ultimately becomes wide receiver 1. And then, I don't know if this would be this is kind of like a low end. Oh, also, I do like Alan Lazar, too, on the waiver wire, too.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is more like a low.
Good.
This is more of like a low end one, possibly Tyler Algier, because I got Bijan in our league, but I don't know what they're doing with it because they.
I think Algier is only valuable if you're going to pick him up if you have Bijan, because then you get the handcuff.
You get the handcuff just in case something happens, but
picking him up just on his own isn't really.
I know he's on bye this week, and I'm probably going to talk about him next week too when he's off bye. Raheem Mostert, pick him up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's available early. He's pretty much like 7 points last week.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Even with Devon A-Chain healthy, we saw what he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that he's not rostered in a bunch of leagues is crazy.
It's crazy.
It is.
I would definitely try and pick him up.
Yep.
How do you guys feel about Xavier Legette?
I love him. I mean,
I like him.
In his first, I'm definitely higher on him than Christian is. But I mean, in his first game that he was like the sole wide receiver.
Last week he had like 18 points. This past week he only had 2, but I mean
he only had 2,
really
but that was because he only was targeted once, and the entire Panthers offense was horrible. But I mean, in the 1 week that the Panthers were playing well, and he was the wide receiver 1 or 2 maybe, he got 10 targets. 10 targets. That is more than. That's the same out of his targets from week 1 to 3 combined. So I definitely like him.
Rookies scare me a little bit. They always have.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Jamar Chase's rookie season. Look at Justin Jefferson's rookie season.
Lad McConkey's been back and forth. Xavier Worthy's been back and forth. I feel like a lot of these receivers, it's just kind of you either get the points or you get nothing.
Or you don't. Yeah. No, definitely.
Sorry, getting back to the waiver wire, I actually had one more guy I forgot to mention. Ty Chandler. Pick him up in your leagues.
Yeah, that's a good one.
With Aaron Jones' injury, I'm not sure the severity of it, but just in case, Ty Chandler is a name to keep in mind.
definitely.
Yeah, he had 14 attempts last game. I mean,
14. Oh wow.
Jones was hurt for most of the game. I think.
Yeah, and they're on bye this week, so I'm not sure if
Oh,
maybe
okay.
he'll come back week 7 against the Lions, but we'll see.
So, you want to hop into the buy lows?
Yeah,
now?
buy lows, sure. So my first buy low, I would have to say, so here's my thing with buy lows. Buy lows constitute as somebody who tanked 1 week or has been doing pretty bad in a couple weeks. So my buy low would probably be, I would try to get either Cortland Sutton or Deontay Johnson. I know that they've been good, but I mean, Cortland Sutton had 5 points last week, and then Deontay Johnson had again 6 points. So I know that there's been trade rumors around Deontay Johnson, but if you can try to get him, because it is obvious that he is Andy Dalton's go-to wide receiver. In the past 2 weeks before that game, he had 20 points.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
Yeah, and my reasoning with Cortland Sutton is the points may have not been there. He's only had 2 games above 10 points, and one of them was because he caught a touchdown. But the target share that he has is ridiculous. In his first game, he had 12 targets. In the second game, he dropped off a little bit with 4. Then he had 11 and 9. And then last week, he had 5. But the target share is one of the best that you will see in the NFL because Bo Nix is not trying to pass to anybody else.
And my buy lows are all wide receivers. I feel like there's a lot of
running backs too. Can't really.
Yeah.
I had Chris Olave on here before he got injured, or not before Derek Carr got injured. It all depends on if Derek Carr is healthy. Because Chris Olave, he gets targets. He didn't last game, but the games that he did do well, he got the targets. Rashid Shaheed is an interesting case. I don't like him that much. He just kind of the 1 week I started him, he had 0.
Yeah,
and
that was
ever since he's been doing great.
I want to see Spencer Rattler with Olave. I feel like that'd be a very good.
That's who they have to start if Derek Carr's hurt. I've never even heard of that other guy before. But no, like the game before last night, he had 10 targets. 10 targets, 8 receptions. Then he had 6 targets 2 games before that.
There is one running back that I can maybe constitute as a buy low, and you guys might not agree with me, but Ramondre Stevenson.
I was about to bring him up in
because
later.
Let me just explain my reasoning. 2 games he sucked. 2 games he did well. The one game where they said they were going to bench him, he drops 20 points. How does that make sense? There's obviously people in that offense that want him to be the RB1. There's obviously people in that offense that want him to feed him the ball, and since he didn't fumble this week, I think that he's going to regain RB1 status. In that offense, RB2 status in fantasy.
I honestly think if he becomes the RB1 in that offense again, I think the same thing's going to happen, where he just wasn't doing well.
But he was.
To be fair, though, so the games he played well against were Cincinnati, Seattle, and Miami. The 2 games he was really bad were against hard defenses. So he played against the Jets defense and the Niners defense. So
that is true.
They have a really good run defense.
I will be honest, though. His only fluke week was week 3 against the Jets. And that's because he didn't play most of it. He was actually on the sideline with some sort of injury for
he only had
most
6
of the
carries
game.
the entire game.
He only had 6 carries. That's not him being bad. That's him not playing. And I mean, the week against the 49ers, he had 13 carries. He is in a low key reception machine. He's been getting 4 to 5 targets every game.
No, he is a receiving back too.
So,
they do use him sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's also, I feel like, notable to point out that this past week was the first week he didn't fumble the ball.
That is true. I said. And
he has 4 fumbles.
Right. I know.
And we're only in week 6.
I think that I know. I think that since they're definitely working with him in practice to improve ball security. Since he didn't fumble this week, I genuinely think that Jared Mayo is going to look at this and be like, okay, he can handle running RB1 responsibilities, and we will try to give it to him. Because I started Antonio Gibson, right? And he only had 6 carries. To be fair, he had 52 yards on 6 carries. but I think they were solely just using him as maybe like a third down type situation back, because he only had one reception. I mean, he did average 8.7 yards, but again, there's no volume in any of his games other than week 2 to suggest that he will take over RB1 responsibilities.
I do honestly agree, and like I did like what Jared Mayo did, like that shame, because honestly, I think it was a good thing for him, like just sending a message being like, look, you gotta start
That's
playing
what Boone
better.
did to Glaber.
Exactly. And I was about to bring
Yeah.
that up. I was about to be like, look at second half Glaber. They put him in the leadoff spot. He's hitting amazing, and he has like 2 home runs right now in the ALDS. But that's a story for later. My Yankees rant, but yeah,
that's for baseball season. That's for baseball season.
I have a couple other buy lows. So I don't have Ramondre on my list, but I would say you could get him, but be careful. Because I really don't know.
No, I definitely think
what he's gonna do.
It is a proceed with caution trade.
Yeah.
yeah. It's also like, even if I trade him, I don't know like what I would get in return for Ramondre.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That's
like,
probably why
like
I'm just gonna
realistically,
keep him.
like
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
That's probably
Maybe
why
like
I'm
a
just
low
keep him
end wide receiver too. Maybe like
No, but if you're trading Ramondre, I need a running back. Like, I do not have any running backs.
Yeah.
That's true. I have Devontae Adams on here. He hasn't been playing. Get him before he gets traded. Like, he's getting traded soon, so I would try. Like, it's not. I think once he gets to whatever team he goes to, he'll be better than he is on the Raiders.
When is the trade deadline? It's by Halloween, right? I think. Let me see.
It's right around Halloween. Yeah.
So they still have like 2 weeks to complete trades, 3 weeks.
Oh, November 5th. Okay, so basically in a month.
So after,
yeah.
so they got like a month
Yeah.
still. Okay.
I think he's getting traded way before that. I think
I think he will. He'll force his way out like pretty soon.
Right, but teams are also saying now that they don't want to match the Raiders' second round pick evaluation. So
he's a good wide receiver.
No, I know.
He's good. I don't know if he's worth the second round pick because I mean he's older. It's not like he's not like 25. Like his prime's a few years away. Like
So what? Sell high. Or do you still have more for buy low?
There's one more buy low I want to talk about, and it's Debo Samuel. I feel like
actually Aiden was trying to. Kuda and I were telling Aiden yesterday to not sell Debo.
I have him in our league. I was going to say
Matt has him.
I do not want to trade him. I'm a big believer in Debo. I'm going to hold on to him. I believe he'll get a go.
We will win.
That offense is crowded, but Debo.
I'm not worried about him.
No, I wouldn't be either. If Ayuk looked really good, I would be worried about him. Like, if you get rid of him, I mean, he's part of the sell high, but get rid of Ayuk. I don't trust that offense much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that goes into the sell high. My first one's Brandon Ayuk.
Really?
He really didn't look great. Like he looked good this last game, but it's his first 10-point game of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that offense is really crowded, especially once McCaffrey comes back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what about Michael Pittman Jr.?
I have him on my sell high too.
Nick has been trying to convince me to trade for.
I know.
I have Michael Pittman if Joe Flacco plays.
Mm-hmm.
If Anthony Richardson plays, sorry. Mm-hmm. So that is my sell high. But I mean, there's not really a lot of sell highs because I feel like a lot of people sell highs this week constitute as really high value guys that sucked. And people are not going to want to trade their first round, second round picks just because they had one fluke week.
I have another guy that I saw him and he spoke to me. I was going to say Darnell Mooney. Nick, I know you were targeting him for a while, but he went off on Thursday night. He did. I'll read you his stat line. He had 9 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and 16 targets. 16 targets too.
16 targets is absolutely ridiculous.
So
that's insane.
In my sell high, I have Kyle Pitts. I would say just the Falcons in general. Kirk Cousins had, I believe, 58 attempts.
60-something, yeah.
Like 60. It was 59, 60. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like all of these Falcons stats are kind of skewed. Anytime you have a quarterback that throws for over 50 attempts,
and
take their receivers and, in this case, tight ends, Kyle Pitts, with a grain of salt. I mean, he had, 17 points?
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
that
like
is the
15,
first time
17.
that might be the first time he's come close to that this season.
Yeah.
It might maybe one other time, but still, Kyle Pitts is not. He's very inconsistent. I think the only guy that is justified in what he did is Drake London.
Yeah.
In that game.
Yeah.
And Bijan didn't get anything that game either.
No,
they didn't even really run the ball too much that game. Yeah.
So my other sell high, but this is more kind of like a, if you need depth, sell him. But I do think he's going to continue trajectory. DeAndre Swift sucked first 3 weeks of the season, like absolutely horrible, and the past 2 weeks he's 30 and 20 points. So the volume is definitely there. There's nothing pointing that he will lose RB1 status and, what he's been doing in fantasy. But if you are in need of, a better flex or RB2 spot, sell him to the guy that is high on him. Sell him to the guy who is going to give you better players than what he's actually worth. Because he's good right now, but if we actually look at the defenses that he played against, Carolina and the Rams, two of the worst run defenses in the entire league.
And the Rams even let Josh Jacobs get a touchdown. That never happens.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also on my so high, Josh Jacobs.
He's got a couple good defenses coming up. I'd wait till after that stretch. I think he has Jacksonville next or something like that, Arizona.
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
What should I do? This is like a lost cause. I don't know what to do with Travis Etienne. I really have no idea what to do with him.
You should have traded him.
I have to say that should have been.
He has like no value now.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd try to trade for Tank Bigsby.
Maybe I have Bijan, Brian Robinson, and then I also have Aaron Jones in that league, but he just got hurt, so I'm a little bit worried. But
I know this is a football podcast, but I feel like this needs to be said really quick.
Yes.
It just came out that Igor Shesterkin rejected an 8-year, $88 million contract.
What?
Oh my God.
Actually?
$11 million? Are you kidding me?
Why? Does he want to leave the Rangers?
Wait, how much does he want? Does he want $15 million a year?
He wants 12.
$1 million more a year, bro? Are you serious?
Okay, but
come on,
but
just get it done.
Swayman got 9.
Yeah, he got 9.
So that just angered me a little bit, but we'll get back to football. I just felt like that needed to be said.
Oh, Igor, please don't leave us. I mean, Kuda here is an
I'm an
Islanders fan.
I'm an Islander fan.
Evil.
Yeah. I'm worried about the Sorokin injury, though.
I was going to say they haven't said anything about that, so
I'm not too confident in that. I'm very nervous.
So I do have another sell high that kind of correlates with the whole Deontay Johnson or Devontae Adams thing. It's Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, that was my next.
I think a Devontae Adams trade is going to shake this whole league up, so especially fantasy wise, because whether it's the Saints or whether it's the Jets, a top wide receiver is getting demoted to a wide receiver 2 spot. And I feel like no matter where he goes, Devontae Adams would be the wide receiver 1. So whether it's Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave, it's going to change everything. And I think Garrett Wilson coming off of a 30-point game, get rid of him, sell him. He hasn't looked amazing this season anyway, but now is the perfect time to get him out.
Yeah, no, definitely.
No, I agree with that.
And I have one more. Like Nick said, there weren't a lot this week, but I have Zay Flowers on here.
Yeah. The 1 week where they decide not to give Derrick Henry 4,000 touches.
I know. I've been trying to get rid of him.
I played against Henry last week too.
It's rough.
I've been trying to get rid of him for a while. Now's the week to do it. I don't know what else he's gonna do. He had 19 points. That offense is a run-first offense, and a good Zay Flowers game, you never know when it's going to come. I've been waiting 3 weeks for it.
He's a very fluky player. It's always he could have 5 points, or next week he could have 28. There's no.
He's a great wide receiver, just not for the system that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
Do any of you guys have any other sell highs?
I do not. I think that's it.
I think that was everyone for the most part.
Got it. So I think that might be it. We'll keep an eye out for a Devontae Adams trade. I feel like that's coming sooner rather
Very
than later. I
soon.
could even
It's
see it
inevitable.
coming.
Could be tomorrow. Could be next few weeks. But
Yeah, it's gonna happen. And when it does happen, like I say every week, anything big happens, TikTok, Instagram Reels, keep an eye out for it.
We will keep you updated.
But for now, thank you, Matt, for joining us.
thank you, Christian. Thank you, Nick. Pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Of course.
And we will see you guys next week for the Week 6 recap.
Have a good week, guys.
Have a
Have a good
guys.
week.